Hello again, my fellow demonologists. It is Shade, welcoming you back to another demonology video. This week we are going to be doing some signs, seals, anything pretty much relating to banishing or exorcising some demons, or at least trapping them. Your main aspect is going to be the Key of Solomon, specifically the Lesser Key of Solomon's. Those are pretty much going to be your pretty much how to guide on um, pretty much all the 72 demon princes and all this other shit, and it's pretty much going to tell you, hey, this is what um, demon is going to be related to this seal or this sigil, or this is what it might look like, things like that. I'm also going to be teaching you, or pretty much showing you, not really teaching you, how to pretty much draw your own sigil. All right. This is pretty much going to be for more of the artists that are out there. You can do pretty much anything you want. Basically, you're going to need an idea of how big your sigil is going to be, how intricate the design, and if you want to actually add some color to it. Like the original protective seals of Solomon are actually multicolored. I forget exactly what color. I think there's red, yellow, green, probably a few others. I might be missing some. But to actually do your own seals and sigils, look into getting this. All right, it's going to give you a few different ideas of how to draw certain symbols, certain things. Like these are some different triangles that you can figure out. You can intricate them however you want. There's and I keep doing those things again. Jesus, anywho, again, what's the name and the author for this one is Laura Tempest. I'm gonna butcher this last name, Zakroff, I think. I can't actually pronounce it. But it's called Sigil Witchery. All right, it's blue. It's got. I'm gonna show you again. That's gonna be what it looks like. All right. I would probably look into getting that. But also with making your own sigils, look at other books that might have some ideas on how to draw the same one. Like there's each house or each house or tribe for voodoo traditions are all going to have the same sigil for, or veves for, the Gede and the Loa. But the biggest difference is they're actually going to be slightly different in style, like how they actually draw them, or excuse me, what actually goes into them, and also where they put them. There's some, excuse me, there's some angelic seals that you can do as well for banishing some demons. Main one is going to be Michael. Voodoo Visions by Sally Glassman. Yes, I'm actually in the process of trying to get her book now. It's more of a money thing, but she's definitely on my list. There's also, I think I have it with me here. me see. Yeah, so there's this one too. Not by Sally Glassman. It's actually by Raymond Buckland, but it's Signs, Symbols, and Omens. I actually really like that book. Love Buckland. Period. Point blank. But his actually also goes through the different cultures too, the different religions, things like that. Like, for example, in Chinese, he's also got some of the elements as well. So each region, each country, each belief is also going to have their own rendition of what certain signs or certain symbols mean, right? And you can go hundreds of different ways to do them. Like that's honestly the best part about having so much information out there, right? You can do a heart symbol to protect your heart, essentially, from demons or demonic forces. Where in the hell did you go? Here. So you can do a variation on that. You can do the evil eye. You can also do it to jewelry as well with the evil eye. And then this is actually one of my rings. It's the I can never actually pronounce it. The tetragrammaton, I think it's how it's pronounced. I might be wrong. But it's a seal of Solomon. It's one of the protection seals. That one I actually wear on a daily basis. When I can. Sometimes I'm not really in the mood for rings. Sometimes it's just like necklace or something like that, like the one I have on. But if you can find a jewelry maker, you can try and be like, hey, I have this symbol that I made, the seal that I made. Can you make it into a necklace? Can you make it into a ring? Can you make it into this? Can you make it into that? Now it's going to get pricey sometimes if you go that route. If you go that route. But it also has to deal with the metals that go into it, right? Now, as far as how this is going to relate to demonology, sorry, I got some liquid on my phone. Now I'm trying not to get it wet. How it's going to relate to demonology is certain metals and certain symbols combined actually are best used in dealing with demonic entities, right? So iron's going to be one of the main ones to use. Copper, silver, those three alone are going to be your main, the main ones you're going to find. Copper, unfortunately, does tend to turn your skin green, as well as like some fake silver, like one of the rings I have on. It's just silver plated or silver painted, unfortunately. I mean, it's a good ring, don't get me wrong, but therein lies some of the issues that you're going to come across. So you can do for, let's see. Okay, for dealing with certain jinn, and I'm not talking about the drink, I'm talking about like DJINN. Like the evil, or not really evil, but the more mischievous, the more malevolent genies. Those are going to be the ones that are going to grant you your wish, but the kicker is they're going to twist it, right? They're going to make it what they want, not what you want. Like they're going to fill their own end of the bargain, but they're going to be looking at you and laughing, be like, just this stupid bitch over here. So there are certain symbols and certain things that go into that. One of the books is called, I have it somewhere, but it's hiding from me. It goes into certain names of some. I don't know about that, but message me on that one. Sorry. So, yes, there is a book on specifically what Jinn does what, but not necessarily how to banish them or call to them. Because most times Jinn are going to be more Arabic based, unfortunately. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to find them. It's just you're going to have to pretty much roam deserts to try and actually find them. Also, point being is they are invisible, so you can't even really see them to begin with. It's more of a feeling. Yeah, actually, yeah. And there, the history on Jinn and genies, they are probably my favorite, not favorite, but definitely top 5 to read about, because it's always a different perspective, right? Because say you run into one Jinn that gives you everything you want, but at the cost of something else that they straight up tell you, hey, if you wish for this, somebody gonna die. Or you may wish for a different life, but it's not necessarily gonna be better. But if you wish for a better life, you might lose some of your loved ones, or not in the dying sense, but you might just not meet them ever. Or the situation or the circumstances of meeting them will change. I'm doing it again. And it's always kind of hard to figure out what seals and sigils are going to be best to protect you from that. If unfortunately you do come across some kind of jar, whether it's like an actual jar or a lamp, that might contain a jinn or a genie, honestly, leave it the hell alone, right? Because depending on what kind of jinn is in that container, it's probably locked in there for a reason. But on the flip side of that, I would also kind of say let it out, because look up some of the deaths relating to zoos. Because honestly, when does anything, human, animal, mythical creature, demon, or otherwise, if you are locked up, how in what universe does that make you content and happy and not homicidal? Right? Like if you're trapped and you have no way of getting out, it's going to drive you insane. Um so those are just my two sides of the coin. Like, yes, there's probably a reason why it's locked up, but at the same time, it you never know why. You know, the movie, Sorcerer's Apprentice. The movie The Sorcerer's Apprentice with Nick Cage. How and probably spoiler alert for people who haven't watched it, but who cares? It's a movie and you can easily go watch it. They have Morgana Le Fay trapped as like a Russian nesting doll, right? And each evil sorcerer or sorceress that Nick Cage's character Balthazar comes across, right, trap or makes it into another doll to trap it, right? And doll after doll, think of it as a video game, right? Each sorcerer or sorceress in the doll form, once let out, is another boss level. So the hardest one to defeat, but it's also the easiest to let out, is Morgana. But at the same time, looking at it from an outside perspective, there's a reason why those seals and wards were in place to keep her trapped. Because in a lot, unfortunately, of mythos and TV shows and all, there's hundreds of reasons why Morgan Le Fay was, excuse me, deemed an evil witch, right? But at the same time, look at why she might have actually done excuse me, why she might have done the things that she did. Why did she keep going after Arthur? Why did she keep trying to dethrone him? Right? And I get it. Right? I get it. Like there's a certain things where, evil is evil no matter how you look at it. But no one's evil just because you're told you're evil. Right? Like there's so many different reasons that anybody does anything. Now, whatever triggers those are, it unfortunately gets worse sometimes. Now, going back to the topic of why did I bring that up? Well, in a lot of evil or demonic, malevolent magic, there has to be some kind of defense or repellent. So that's where making your own sigils and seals come in, right? Everybody is going to have their own seals. Morgana had her own seal. Balthazar had his. Merlin has his inscribed in trees, right? For the most part, because he's a druid. But it's all going to be on you to make. So the main things that you are going to have to do, right? I would either make your own or buy either dragon's blood, bat's blood, or dove's blood, right? I prefer dragon's blood ink just because it's a lot easier for me to make, and it's also a lot quicker for me to make. Mainly because I always have those specific ingredients to do it. And honestly, mine that I make has dragon's blood and myrrh. But I usually only put myrrh in there because I'm also a necromancer, so calling on spirits to help me deal with certain spell work. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. You can actually get crystal dust, stone dust, gemstone dust, and actually put a pinch of it into the ink so that you can inscribe that magic, that power into your own spell work. And that's not something that a lot of people do anymore. Like, not a lot of people think, hey, I can probably put this into ink and actually make it more powerful. You can always do something else. All right, you don't have to go by the book. If you go by the book, you're just following a recipe. And let's be honest, if you're cooking and you're following a recipe, that doesn't always make it automatically good. Because some people just can't make ice. Like, some people just can't make ice. And if you're going to be doing your own seals and sigils and things, runes, you don't necessarily have to have an artistic hand, but you do have to know what you're doing, right? And just because it might not look like a pentacle to other people, that doesn't not make it one for you, right? Now, yes, pentacles are going to have the 5-point stars. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. But everybody is actually going to have their own variation. All right, that's point blank, period, recurring role in sigil making. So the books to look up are always, 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 as far as Abrahamic magic goes, Key of Solomon. All right, Greater Key, Lesser Key, Venerable Key of Solomon, Key of like anything that says Key of Solomon, get it, read it, or at least read it. Get it, download it, rent it through a bookstore. It's not going to be too hard to find, because that's one of the main ones to do research on. As far as demonology goes, anyway. Um, and there's always going to be some different author for it. Another one is definitely Raymond Buckland's Sigil, Signs, Symbols, and Omens. And that one I personally like, just because of how I also practice, right? It's because I don't necessarily go straight 100% traditional craft, right? And especially too, if you're going to be a demonologist, right? Let's get this out there. If you're going to be a demonologist and you don't believe in magic but you believe in demons, or if you're going on paranormal investigations, or um, you're Catholic, or you're this or you're that, making your own sigils is always going to be a very big deal. All right. Yes, there are going to be certain seals and symbols that are preferred to use. But it's also having to deal with the ingredients, so to speak, to go with it. It's not that hard to actually look up, hey, what's the right shit to use for repelling ghosts? Iron and salt. Really, that's it. For most fae or most fairies, honestly, silver. There's also silver and iron. Silver is it's silver's a lot purer in that aspect. And it's also a lot easier to get to, but definitely iron. If you're gonna repel them. There's what else? I mean, there's hundreds of different ways that you can go. Like making your own. I would start off small. Right? I would start off small, do a basic binding rune, whether it's something that actually looks like a bee for binding, or banishing rather, or if it's a hand, or um, something that looks like a stop sign, like something small. Start off with that, and then work your way up. Because if sorry, there's a lot of incense. Um, Say you just got hired at your job, right? You're not gonna be minimum wage, and then tomorrow you're CEO of a Fortune 500 company, right? It doesn't happen. No matter who you know. I'm sorry, that it just doesn't happen, because you have to do the work. So start off small. So do some kind of binding or banishing sigil or rune. You can do something that looks like a bee. You can even do a pentagram or a pentacle. Just find what style works for you, and then go from there. Right? And to the artists who might be watching this video, you always, always, always have 100% artistic creative control. All right. If you prefer to use certain colors in your banishing seals, go for it. If you feel that, oh, well, a lot of people are going to use this to banish something, but I feel more comfortable dealing with this, go for it. All right. It's all about what works for you. All right. There's, I mean, yes, again, there are certain seals and certain sigils that go into banishings, bindings, traps, everything. But it's also you making your own sigil. Right. You can follow the recipe, you can do the work, but if it doesn't work for you, then go for it. Make your own. Um there's gonna be in my next video next week, um oil making. I'm not necessarily gonna actually make the oils in front of you, just because honestly I don't have the space right now, and especially because I'm leaving on vacation next week too, so everything is probably going to be packed up ready to go anyway. But the things to do is look for books on anything sigil related, whether it's you have whether or not you have the sigils already made for you, or if it's books on telling you how to actually make one. um it's definitely worth it. And like I said, you don't have to be a practitioner of anything to do this kind of work. Yes, it would help, because you have a little bit more to work with. You have a few more ideas of where you could go, but you don't absolutely have to be a witch. You don't have to be Catholic. You don't have to anything. But if you're really, really interested in making certain seals and protective symbols that you want to work, then look up the books. Um, look up things on Google. Like that's the best thing about internet, right? You have all of this information at your damn fingertips. So do the work. Like, everybody's on their phone now anyway, so what's opening up another window and be like, hey, what does this rune do for this? I don't know. Usually I just start typing, to be honest. But you clickety clack, Google has my back. Yes. Yes, very much so. And like it's like in alchemy, right? There actually is an alchemy symbol, and that it's actually the thumbnail for this video. It's a circle with a triangle inside and a square. And I'm trying to find a necklace for it. I can't find any. Did you look up love spells? So Love spells, I personally don't do, just because it gets tricky. You know, it has a lot to deal with free will, or even just attracting love to you. It's not always 100% going to be the healthy kind unless you define your terms, right? Um, Now, and honestly, it's especially in spell work, you have to know what you're doing, right? Um, like dealing with love magic and free will magic. There's a lot of ethical conundrums that happen. um, so it's not always going to be 100% the best idea. Um, but I mean, yeah, definitely do the research. Definitely look up some books on love spells. The Probably the best one um, to read would be Glam Witch by Michael Herkus. Um, do I have it? I do. Hang on, give me 1 second. It is this one, Glam Witch by Michael Herkus. Right. I met him before. He's amazing, and it's that one specifically is more dealing with love magic, sex magic, lust spells, um, having to do with Lilith. Um, Excuse me. Um, Being that she, in a lot of circles, is called a lust demon, the queen of lust, because she is a lot of times viewed as a succubus or the mother of all demons, or she goes by so many different names it's not even funny, right? And using her magic, um look for anonymous, you can actually get it through our store. um Go to hexwitch.com, and there's a lot of different books that you can get on there, that has a lot to do with a lot. um Hexwitch and omensalem.com too. That's our other store. um I say our, I'm an assistant manager, but still. um but you can always find the books, right? But, and I cannot stress this enough, do not jump straight into spell work. All right, real talk, do not jump straight into spell work. All right, read for do your reading for, I would say, about 2 to 3 years before jumping into actually any actual serious spell work. All right, it's not going to go the way you want it to. I promise you. Um, like I've been practicing 10 years now, and there's still some stuff that I'll read, but I won't touch. Um, um, yeah, just let me know. Um, but I've been practicing 10 years, and it's not that I don't want to dive into certain things. It's just more of, it doesn't really appeal to me or really apply to what I do a lot. Um, like I'm very much more of the darker side of magic, not necessarily hexing and cursing people, but it's more of why do people place hexes on people? Why do some people want to work with demons and things like that? Yeah. So for Ahmad's why not question, um, it's everybody's gonna have their own thing. Love magic honestly is not mine. I prefer not to deal with it. Like I can help you do like an attraction spell. I'll do sex and love magic out the wazoo. But it's always everybody's reason for doing specifically love magic is always going to be different because everybody has their own traumas. They're always going to have their own little, for lack of a better word, narcissistic reasons for wanting to do specifically love magic, right? And it's not I'm not knocking people who do it. It's just I personally don't from my perspective, it's if you're going to do a love spell, how do you know it's actually genuine? How do you know it's actually genuine love? Or why is this person coming into my life that I don't necessarily have romantic feelings for, but I do love them as a person, but I don't necessarily love them, like I'm not in love with them. You know, as far as the goddess Canella's question, or not question, this is why a year and a day in Cauldron is so essential. Yes. If anybody is actually serious about getting into magic and witchcraft and all, excuse me, God, I'm always gassy now. You have to do the research first. All right, you always have to do the reading first. This is where my Ravenclaw is coming out. You have to pick up a book or read anything and gather as much information as you can. All right, don't keep watching TikToks. Don't just go on Harry Potter websites and look up love spell. You have to actually do the work and talk to people about stuff. If you have any, I mean, everyone knows I'm always here. Like if you have any specific questions on, you know, what books you want to look at, if you have any specific, what word am I looking for? If you have any specific path that you want to know about, or if you want to be put in the right direction, give me a call, shoot me a text, comment on one of my videos. Like I might not always respond, but I will always see it. Right? I might not always respond right away because I might be at work, or I just might be busy. But you also have to know that if for anything, if and this is more directed towards people who are initiates, right? If somebody tells you that they are an initiate into the craft, into a certain tradition, respect that. Okay? Don't keep prying them about things that they or you think they might not want to talk about, or they might not be able to, right? um and in some cases, yes, they will be able to tell you like certain things, but it if you're not an initiate into that tradition specifically, then you're not really gonna know anything for certain. You know, like me personally, I'm not an initiate. Um, I'm not a part of a specific tradition. Like I prefer not to, just because I like doing my own work, and I like doing it how is comfortable for me, right? Um, a lot of a lot of people I know who do practice, not necessarily initiates, but just people in general, a lot of them will go. Um, it's not that I don't do light magic. It's just like I know more and deal more with the darker side. Like I can do healing spells, I can do protection spells and everything else. It's just the fact that not everybody knows a lot, or just assumes that they know the darker side, that that doesn't mean they actually do. It's more, think of it more as, all right, think of it more as Catholic versus Christian, right? Two sides, same coin. And there also has to be balance, right? Just because I prefer the darker side, like dealing with the the seals and sigils for demonic entities and malevolent spirits and all, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't know the lighter side, you know? But that's something that I am going to be talking about more in later videos. Um, just keep an eye out. And if you have any questions, honestly, feel free to message me. You know, um, but it's, especially dealing with demonology, you also have to know the lighter side to protect yourself from the dark. Right? It's not. Um, excuse me. Um, it's not that difficult to learn, but it's also knowing what route to take, right? Like for example, if you're making a protective sigil for just a generalized protective sigil, right? And you're gonna draw it on paper and what have you. You'll Me personally, I do Solomon seal, bay, basil, and licorice root. All right. Sometimes when I'm drawing a sigil, I'll put those herbs into the actual ink, let it soak up, and then the ink's going to be ready to go. Um, and that specifically, I deal more with the demonic work. Like this protective sigil is going to be used strictly for demon-based things. Also, I'll probably throw a little bit of camphor in there just to be safe. Because camphor in and of itself is pretty much essential demon repellent. Um, and you can. There's a thing that stage magicians use called flash paper. All right, it's essentially like, lack of a better word, it's paper that if you light it on fire, it immediately catches and it leaves no residual ash, doesn't smoke, doesn't leave any trace, right? So, in and of itself, if you want to use flash paper, if you're going to be using flash paper, disclaimer, be careful because it does rip very easily. All right. It rips extremely easily. I had to stop using it for a while because I kept running out. Um, but if you use flash paper, get you a nice stack, but use scissors and cut it so that you only have a small little square to work with. Because at the end of the day, it actually does get expensive to buy in bulk. And you can find it on any Parlor Magic website, Parlor Magic shop. Not every magic, like stage magic shop, is going to have it in stock. So honestly, I just probably look at a couple of different websites. But use that, and if you're about to go, say you're about to go on a paranormal investigation, draw that sigil. Use the herbs, use the ink, use the everything. Write it on the flash paper and burn it. And when it lights up, have the intention of, okay, this being lit literally ignites the spell. It ignites the seal. So, in all honesty, you can create any kind of sigil that you want. Um, but always have that mindset of, okay, this is the seal that I'm going to use for this. Because if you make 20 different sigils and you only use 5 of them on a regular basis, say these 5 are specifically what I'm going to use for this type of situation. And then these 15 are going to be backups. They're going to be throwaways, essentially. You can use it for anything. You can do it for casting. You can do it for your own home. If you yes, they work for both sides. So say you want to be protected from demonic or malevolent forces, right? And you also want some money coming in or some healing coming in. All right. On that piece of paper, write your protection seal. Excuse me. Write your protection seal. On the other side of that, write a money seal or a money attraction symbol. It doesn't have to be a specific one. Just think of what attraction means to you and what money means to you. And then whatever symbol, whatever image you think of first, write that for love or for attraction or protection or whatever. Write that on the opposite side of the protection seal. So when you burn it, 2 birds, 1 stone. See what I mean? Like, it's not. I'm all about the multi-purpose. So think iron, specifically coffin nails, right? if you want to use some iron shavings in to your ink, go for it, because the iron actually does help with protection as well. You know, it's it's there's so many different things that entail the magical side of everything. So with coffin nails can be used for protections, but it can also use to hex a bitch, right? Like if somebody at your job is royally going out of their way to screw you over, throw a coffin in there. Throw a coffin nail in there. Or you could use hot foot powder. Protect you from them, but also get them the fuck out of your way, right? Um, and with that kind of seal, you can do, you could draw a foot, and then you could draw an arrow pointing away from you, right? So it's seals and sigils and things are always going to vary. So whether it's in voodoo, whether it's in European craft, whether it's Native American, whether it's Hindu, it's everybody, Aztec, Mayan, everybody is always going to have their own sigil, their own sign, their own image for a lot of things, right? Now, if you come from a Catholic background and you feel more comfortable with that, then honestly, use Enochian script, right? You can use angelic script. It's going to be a little hard because there's a lot of different versions of them, but seals are not spells that, or that honestly, it depends on how you are, and it depends on your practice. Like for me personally, seals are spells in and of themselves, or they can be if you make them that way, right? um if you don't have the space or the privacy to do like a full-blown ritual, but you have a notebook and a pen, that's a spell right there. Go for it, you know. Or if you're traveling, or if you're just out, if you're having a night out on the town, but something comes up and you're like, oh fuck, I think there's something that's attached to me. Pen, paper, boom, right? It's all about what feels comfortable for you. So if you feel comfortable just doing seals for spell work, go for it. But have a little pocket notebook always on hand, right? As far as the flash paper thing goes, honestly, I would say get several sheets, cut them down into like pocket notebook size paper, size sheets, and make it into essentially a book, so that if something happens and it's on, you always have it on you. All right, if you're going to do seals and spell work like that, always have it on you. You don't necessarily always have to have the dragon's blood ink, but or the bat's blood ink, or the dove's blood ink, or just magical ink, period. If you're in a bind, honestly, use a pencil, because with the lead, it's a good substitute for iron, right? um So if you're going to do that, make it into a little booklet. I would say have a couple of different seals already drawn so that you can be like, oh shit, something's watching me, something's attached to me, so that when you tear it out and light it, that ignites the spell, right? Um, if you, and it also has to deal with privacy issues too, because unfortunately we are in an age of there are cameras fucking everywhere, and there's always somebody somewhere watching you at some point, either on their camera, across the street, whatever. People can't stay out of each other's business. Thank you, 2021. But at the same time, if there weren't cameras, I wouldn't be able to be doing these videos. It's a double-edged sword. But speaking of swords, that also can be a protective sigil, right? So if, like I said, if you're in a bind and you have either flash paper or regular paper, doesn't matter, whatever, draw a sword, any kind of blade, because let's be honest, they're easier to draw than guns. They're easier to draw than guns. Because swords, for the most part, are used for fighting, but there's in tarot they're also used for a lot of other shit. But I would say draw a sword and have that be your go-to. And yeah, like there's a lot of different ways that you can make sigils. And there's also a lot of different signs that mean a lot of different things. Like this one, the Triskelion, is for the most part a symbol of good luck. I know there's a couple of other meanings that go along with it as well. I'm not fully aware of all of them or which ones are actually true. But yeah, I would say if you're gonna do seal work or sigil magic, then one, can't say this enough, do the research, read the books, practice, and then start. All right. And it's, like I said, it has a lot to do with privacy issues too, or just going traveling, things like that. Like for example, if, all right, say you're a flight attendant, right? Say you're a flight attendant. You can't necessarily bring a lighter on a plane, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can possibly bring matches. I'm not actually fully aware on that. I don't fly. But you can bring a notebook and you can bring a pen. You can bring a pen and you can bring a notebook on a plane, right? So if you're in a bind, just say, I'm just drawing. That's really it. That's all you have to do is shut them down. Unless you want to be open about it, you know, 'cause some people are open about, hey, you know, I'm drawing certain sigils because this is what I do. You can just say like, oh, I'm just practicing some art. I'm doing artistry now, like whatever. You know, you can be open about it, you can be private about it. It's really up to you. You can. Okay, so if you do the flash paper thing, go in the bathroom of the plane and do that. But let's be honest, a lot of people are probably just going to be like, oh, well, I just have a regular notebook. Let me light that on fire. No, 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 no. Let me disclaim. I do not condone burning a fucking plane, people. That's no. Okay? This is all under speculation, okay? Do not bring matches or a lighter onto a plane just for the simple fact of doing spell work. Period. Just bring a damn notebook and a pen. Really, that's all you fucking need. That's it. And Sayazaki, yes. I mean, you, yes. Believe it or not, some people actually would watch this video and be like, "Oh, wait, you mean I can bring something I can burn on a plane?" Yes. No. And coming from the pyromaniac, I'm telling you no. No, don't fucking do it, dude. Don't. But it's all a matter of knowing what works for you, right? Bottom line is have the little notebook. If that's what you're going to start with, have the little notebook, have a pencil, pen, whatever, and go from there. Honestly, I think that's it for this video. I feel like I kind of repeated myself more than I realize. But good news is, because I repeated myself, you know, it should stick. But as far as next week's video goes, it is going to be making your own protective oils, and how to use them, where to put them, how to, not necessarily how to store them, but knowing what to do with them, right? If there's any kind of like specific demonology related, paranormal investigating, psychic oils that you want to learn about, please feel free, comment, message me, anything, and I'll be like, hey, this isn't necessarily that I'm going to cover, but I'll probably touch on it. Yes, Tuesday night. Remind me, what time are we doing that? Is it 7:30 my time? But yeah, Tuesday, the goddess Canella and I are doing a video on Instagram on instrumental magic, and that's not saying musical instruments. It's magical tools, like what cauldrons are used for, what incenses are used for, what athames are used for, that kind of thing. 6:30 my time. Okay, so 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern. On Instagram on Tuesday. That is going to be our gotta love necromancy. So many dead people in my head. Always fun. Always fun. But if anyone has any questions on what certain things might do, message me, or message my page, or message me on Instagram, Facebook, a text message, Snapchat, whatever you might have me on, um, or even comment on this video, and I'll keep in touch. Now, real quick, because I am going to get off in just a minute, there is probably not going to be a video on the 15th, that Wednesday, because I will be in Florida. But if I'm in the hotel room, or if I have some time to myself, then I might make a little 5-minute video, just to kind of keep y'all in touch. Be like, hey, I'm not necessarily in a place where I can do anything, but I'll let y'all know. That's it. That's really it. And yeah. Sorry, my brain's going back into food mode. So I have to eat again. But enjoy the rest of y'all's day, night, whatever time you're watching this video. And I will catch y'all next week. Again, check me out Tuesday. Follow me on Instagram. It's going to be my same username here, Shade Warlock 25. And just enjoy. I hope y'all. I honestly do hope y'all enjoy these videos. And if y'all don't, well, then that's your problem. All right. Good night, everyone. And always remember, toss a coin to your Witcher. Good night. And